Hey guys, let's get more news about Lakers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Lakers landing $30 million guard, 12-time All-Star on value deal real possibility. LeBron James is no stranger to a Big Three construct delivering an NBA championship, but the Los Angeles Lakers may need to go another direction next season. If the Cleveland Cavaliers don't put Donovan Mitchell on the trade market and Trae Young doesn't make sense from a scheme/fit standpoint, the Lakers' options to land a third bona fide star in his prime alongside James and Anthony Davis could quickly grow limited. If Los Angeles needs instead to add around the edges of the roster, at least until the regular season begins to unfold and trade deadline possibilities open up, one realistic option could be Golden State Warriors point guard Chris Paul. There is a universe where the Lakers sign Chris Paul, Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report told Jovan Buha of The Athletic on May 20th. It makes a lot of sense to me. Is Chris coming for the minimum? I don't know. I don't want to say he comes cheap to the Lakers, but in the absence of a better offer, I could see that. Zach Buckley of Bleacher Report added his 2 cents to the possibility of Paul to LA on Friday. This version of Paul isn't worth a budget-busting contract, but he won't necessarily require one. His $30 million salary for next season is non-guaranteed, per Spotrac, and if the Golden State Warriors duck out of that deal, perhaps the point guard would be open to a team-friendly pact, Buckley wrote. The Lakers are a good team with a chance to be really good. They may not be inner-circle contenders at the moment, but they aren't necessarily far off from that status. While the word out of LA is that James isn't dictating the team's coaching search or roster-building strategies, the fact of his leverage in all areas of the franchise can't be disputed. James is entering the final season of his 2-year, $99 million contract, which is a player option that allows him to re-enter free agency this summer. Another element of intrigue is that his son, Bronny James, is a legitimate NBA draft prospect with mid to late second-round value following a successful week at the Combine. If he chooses to, James can wield his considerable influence to get the Lakers to draft his eldest child, or perhaps put out into the NBA universe that he will be open to joining any team that does. One thing is certain, though, if the Lakers can't land a third star and James wants to play with his old pal Paul for the first time in their legendary careers, Los Angeles will make that happen. Paul is a 12-time All-Star, an expert offensive facilitator and arguably a top 5 point guard in the history of the league. Over the course of his 19-year career, Paul has averaged 17.5 points, 9.4 assists, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.1 steals per game, according to Basketball Reference. He played in 58 games for the Warriors last season, earning 18 starts behind Steph Curry on the depth chart. Draymond tells Shaq why Kobe isn't in GOAT debates. Every NBA fan has an opinion on who the greatest of all time, GOAT, is. Some lean towards Michael Jordan, some say LeBron James, others point to Bill Russell. What we don't see a lot of in those discussions is former Los Angeles Lakers legend Kobe Bryant, and Golden State Warriors forward Draymond Green believes he knows why. On Shaquille O'Neal's podcast, The Big Podcast, Green talked about Kobe's impact. Here's why I think he's not in the conversation, Green said. Because, number 1, he played with you and people hold that against him. Number 2, I think Kobe kind of fell in a weird time. And what I mean by that is Michael Jordan, left the league. When Mike left the league, y'all were dominating. And then you left the Lakers. When you left the Lakers, they had a few rough years, it wasn't great. They didn't have great roster. Rudy Tomjanovich, that was an epic fail, like it just wasn't great. And while it wasn't going great, there was a young guy in Cleveland starting to make his hay. And so, in the years where Cobb could have been dominating, which he was from a numbers standpoint, but they weren't winning. In those years, Bron James was making his hay and starting to make his name, and is he the best player? The argument that Kobe isn't included in the GOAT argument because he played with Shaq is inherently flawed. There was a time when Bryant didn't have a championship without Shaq, and former Lakers teammate Trevor Ariza said on Club Shay Shay that it drove him, Kobe, to sleepless nights. To be clear, Draymond is talking about why he thinks Kobe isn't in the discussion. He makes a point to say he should be. Let's not forget that Kobe was just 21 years old during the 1999-2000 season, with Shaq in his absolute prime at 27. To penalize or otherwise denigrate what Kobe was doing because there was a more dominant player on the floor with him at the time is ludicrous. The timing argument holds a lot of water if the GOAT debate were happening in the early to mid-2000s. Jordan was still in the league until the 2002-2003 season, finding ways to drop 51 points on poor David Wesley and the Charlotte Hornets. Just as Jordan left, the Kobe/Shaq combination started to show signs of wear. Shaq had passed his prime and Kobe hadn't yet entered his. 2 playoff failures with Bryant as the leading man raised eyebrows, only exacerbated by a repugnant 2004-2005 season that saw Bryant lead a rebuilding team to a 34-48 record. LeBron rose through the ranks, making the NBA Finals in 2007 as a 22-year-old with a Cleveland Cavaliers team that inspired a cacophony of op-eds lamenting how poor the team was. If LeBron can do it, why can't Kobe, right? It wouldn't be long until Bryant would emphatically end his streak of NBA Finals failure, with the Lakers winning in both 2009 and 2010. Report: Philadelphia 76ers linked to LeBron James. The Philadelphia 76ers could go big game hunting in the 2024 offseason, and Los Angeles Lakers superstar LeBron James is apparently one of the possible targets they have their eyes on. According to Sixers insider Keith Pompey, Philadelphia remains interested in Paul George, echoing what others have said about the team's plans to pursue the Los Angeles Clippers star. But if that possibility goes sideways, the organization could pivot to other potential additions, including James. The Sixers do have their eyes on other lucrative salary impact players just in case they don't get George, wrote Pompey. That's why they also are looking at potential free agents like the Los Angeles Lakers' LeBron James and New York Knicks forward OG Anunoby. If not in free agency, the Sixers believe they can use their draft assets and available cap space to acquire a difference-maker via a trade. That has led to Miami Heat forward Jimmy Butler, Chicago Bulls guard Zach LaVine, and New Orleans Pelicans forward Brandon Ingram being among trade interests. The Sixers are coming off a disappointing campaign, finishing with the number 7 seed in the Eastern Conference and seeing their title hopes dashed in the first round by the New York Knicks. So, it's understandable that their front office is looking for some talent to complement Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. James would be an intriguing option, especially if Philadelphia is looking for an elite distributor. It finished 24th in average assists among all squads in the regular season, dishing out just 24.9 dimes per game. Despite being advanced in age and having a lot of mileage on his body, the 4-time MVP has continued to exhibit impressive playmaking abilities. He recorded 8.3 assists per contest in the regular season and 8.8 assists per match in the playoffs. But James might opt not to leave the Lakers, especially if the alternative is suiting up alongside an injury-prone star in Embiid. The big man has developed into one of the finest scorers of this generation. Unfortunately, he has never made more than 68 appearances in any regular season. He even had to play through injury in the Sixers' first-round series loss to the New York Knicks in the 2024 postseason. Only time will tell where James ends up bringing his talents in the offseason. As for the Lakers, they are reportedly operating as if he will be back. Interestingly, his agent, Rich Paul, may have let slip that the 20-time All-Star is entering free agency. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of LeBron James? Leave your opinion in the comments.